helping business podcasts, right? This is the number one thing that we do. That is our purpose. That is our drive. And that's it. In a way, I'm an extremist. I have things where I don't care at all about certain stuff, like could not care less, doesn't matter to me. You'll never get me to think about it. You can't make me. And then there's other stuff where I'm an absolute perfectionist and I care about even the slightest details, and it needs to be that way or otherwise it's going to drive me absolutely ballistic.
You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Welcome back to another episode. With us today is the creative director at SBX Productions, Vince Quinn. We're going to be talking all things podcast strategy and what you can do to level up your podcast as well. Vince, so excited to have you here. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing great, Chris. How are you, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. We were already having a great chat before. You told me a bit about yourself and what you're doing. Really excited for this conversation. We always like to ask, what were you doing before and how did that lead you into what you're doing today?
So I spent just about 10 years in sports talk radio is what I did. So I started literally in the promotions department. I was like the spin the wheel, get a t-shirt guy. And I did that in Philly, did it at the hometown station. And it was a sports talk station because, I mean, Philly, we're all Eagles nuts. We're maniacs out there. So I was obsessed with the Eagles. I got a job at this radio station. And it was one of those things where after working there for a couple of months, I realized that there were other people who had been in promotions like me that were producing shows and hosting shows. And I was like, I can do that? This invisible wall lifted. And I just decided that I'm going to do everything that I can to work myself over from the side of the building that I'm over into the studio. So it made all the sense in the world because I was already doing a Philly sports blog and had a sports podcast. Like I was doing it already. I just didn't think I could do it professionally so easily. So after events, I would just sit in the producer's booth. I'd have a notebook on me. I would just ask guys how they were doing stuff. They were nice enough to answer my questions. Sure enough, they needed fill-ins for time to time, holidays, things like that. I get my foot in the door. I'd climb. So it was this constant grind. So ultimately, I went from being the t-shirt guy, setting up tents and spinning the wheel, to I had a nationally syndicated show. So I was on CBS Sports Radio. It was the Vince Quinn show. It was my show. I was on 225 stations across the U.S. and Canada, Sirius XM. And I saw where the radio industry was going. And just the grind of being in that business is brutal. Sports is a brutal industry to be in for a lot of reasons. And I piled it all up and I was just like, I'm getting out of here, man. This is not right. I don't want to bet my future on this as much as I was ahead of the curve for my age. And I got the chance to get involved with working with podcasters at a small studio that was trying to get together. And I quit. I just quit the show. And I got into podcasting and that was it.
That is incredible. And now today you're helping other people start and produce their own podcasts. Is this focused around a lot of business owners for who you help?
Yeah. So business owners, a lot of people, like if you are the business, right? It's your ideas, you're a consultant, you're a coach, real estate, like things like that. So I help a lot of people like that. I also work with facilities. I've worked with co-working spaces, for example. 2 of my clients are co-working spaces. I have a charitable foundation that I do a podcast. So it could go in a lot of different shapes. And that's the cool thing about it. It's industry agnostic in a lot of ways. Like it doesn't matter what you're into. What do you need the show to do? So the best thing about our business and what really makes us stand out is a lot of people can do production, right? Like anybody, and it's getting easier these days with just the quality of tools and now AI and everything else. But the ability to come up with the full strategy. This is why you should do the show. This is what it should be about. These are the kinds of topics you should have. This is how we're going to brand it. This is how it connects to your business. And here's all the ways that we can max out the kinds of content that you're getting from this podcast into different places. So being able to do that is awesome. That is fun. That is exciting. I get like geeked out about concepts these days. And so that's really what we do.
It's a really great opportunity and position for yourself to be in, to be able to help these other business owners kind of provide that focus and direction. A lot of us want to try new ideas. We're excited about them. But again, we kind of lack this clarity and direction on how do we actually use this or create value from this, and how does this relate to the business? So the fact that you kind of come in and help guide them through that process, it's just going to help them save time from mistakes and get further ahead than they would without you.
Yeah, I save so much time for people. And for part of it is like, it's not for everybody, right? I think one of the most important things with podcasting as well is the attrition rate. Like so many people don't make it to 2 years. They don't make it to 100 episodes. They don't even get to 4 episodes. This is just like entertainment or business, just like in general, podcasts don't hit those kinds of numbers. And I think a lot of it is people don't fully understand the workload involved. They don't have the support to handle that workload, even if they're committed to it. They don't know how to piece together that strategic element, or they overthink it, I think is really what most people do. And it causes all these people who could have good shows. There's no reason they couldn't have like a good functional quality podcast for their business, but they just haven't been given the right guidance to do that. So for us, we work with people starting shows. We have a whole process for that. We work with existing shows. We can do the production if people need it. We can do consulting. It's whatever you need. So we try to be very flexible, but at the same time, very simplistic is really how we approach it.
I think that's the right approach when businesses are trying these new initiatives. As we mentioned before, they kind of lack that direction and clarity. But how are businesses actually using podcasts to get these one-on-one meetings and generate revenue and create something more than just the conversation piece of the podcast? How can businesses leverage this?
Yeah, that's the cool thing. There's so many ways to do it, right? Those strategies can be so wide. I've seen it where for a lot of people, hey, I'm going to talk with people in my target audience about issues that are relevant to them. I will bring those people on the show. I will demonstrate my value to those people and build relationships with them. So even if they're not a client for me, they know somebody who could be a client. You can do that. It's mainly a networking play, and you can get a lot of value out of that. Other people I've seen, they do the meeting, and a marketing agency once, I was a guest on a marketing agency show. And what they did was they interviewed me, but they reached out to me to be a guest on the show. So they targeted me. I didn't request to be on. So they picked me as a potential client for them. I do the interview. After the interview, they had a 25-minute conversation with me following up on things that we had talked about in the interview, and then just asked me stuff that was related to their business. And they're like, oh, well, you're doing this podcast coaching. Have you considered doing a course? And things like that, which was really fascinating because ultimately for them, and think about this, right? This is how modular podcasting can be. I don't think they really care about the show. I really don't think it matters to them. I think the idea is it's the excuse to have the conversation, and whatever happens from that, whatever content they get is whatever. But they now get a deep dive into your business, and very immediately after are going, well, here's all these value adds that you can add to your business. Have you considered all these things? No, I haven't. Oh, well, we are a marketing agency. We can help you with that. And like, they've fed me into that funnel. Like the show is the funnel for them, which is really smart. And I'm sure has gotten them plenty of business because I've seen them have like 5 different podcasts for different niches. So it works, or I assume it works. So like the flexibility is fascinating. And it's all just about what are the resources? What is your target audience? What are the major goals that you have for your business? How can we tie that together in a way that makes sense and doesn't burn you out? Because many people just get burnt out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does create that excuse to have a conversation with a lot of these businesses and individuals. I think it's important. It's created a lot of great conversations and meetings with very successful people, people who are just starting, moving into something new, or they've been in business. For us, the target audience, it seems like businesses who are trying to promote themselves, market themselves, get out there, and suddenly, hey, we are also here as a marketing agency who can assist with those things. And however you kind of structure your podcast format to fit that is up to you. But I think it's just another opportunity to have those conversations, get some insight, and potentially create some revenue from it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's cool because it does lead to these great conversations and mutual wins and a sense of community. And I think that's one of the best parts about podcasting that so many people get wrong. Because I think people look at episodes in a way as disposable and look at guests as we're spinning the wheel. And we sat down at the slot machine. Cha-ching, is this person a winner for us? Are they a client or not? Oh, they're not right now. All right, see ya. Never going to talk to you again. Like for me, every time I have a guest opportunity, and I'm going to do this with you. I'm just telling you because I literally do this every time. I will reach out to that person on LinkedIn. We already connected, right? You reached out to me, I think, when I see.
Yes.
It's the game, though, Chris. That's the game. You get it. Like, you should be, okay, well, let's have this conversation. Let's connect with each other. Let's be in touch. I'll keep an eye on what you're up to. We can have this relationship. You never know what's going to happen. And that creates your opportunity, right? It is a long-term game in addition to this short-term thing of this episode and this interaction. So not just use podcasting in a long form itself as this marketing tool and audience builder and all that, to use it as a way to build long-standing relationships that can come back around is huge. So defining that for businesses and putting that all together through a podcast is great. It's fun.
Yes. And I hope everyone heard Vince. This guy builds relationships here. He is focused on the right thing. It's not just about, oh, we need this one-off sale. This is about the short, medium, and long-term goals. This is about creating community. That is so important. When we're structuring our podcast here, one thing you mentioned is the importance of a pilot. Now, is this kind of like a teaser or a trailer film that you land onto a YouTube page, or is this kind of setting the stage for what future episodes might be?
Yeah, sometimes television is really what it's based on. And what you'll see a lot of times when you're watching a show for the first time is it's called pilot, right? Why is every first episode called pilot? Well, they didn't know if the show was good enough to actually be a full season. So they called it a pilot. They did it. They said, is this good enough or not to warrant the budget? And they approved it or disapproved it, right? So that's the same idea. And that's really the base of how people should approach podcasting if they're new to it and want to start a show, because you don't know the workload involved. Like, think about how hard it is. And I bet people have felt this way. You start a show, you get excited about it, you build up all the branding, you're building up whatever channels, you're working on the intro music and all this stuff. And then you put the show out and nobody listens to it. That was a ton of work for 6 listens. Oh my God. And now you get 3 episodes in, and then you're just like, what if I never post again? I mean, nobody's really been listening to it. Maybe we just kind of forget about this thing and it just never happened. So you could do that, but it sucks to do that. And why do that? So my whole philosophy is do the pilot, be very intentional about it. Like, we're giving you that strategy. We're going really die hard on it. Let's make sure this is a concept that you like. It sounds right. You're delivering your information in a way that's relatable. It's good for other marketing materials within your business. If you're doing newsletters, social posts, whatever it might be, let's tie this all together. And then if you like it, then do the branding, by the way, then do the graphics, and then announce the show and record other episodes, like, and go through that whole process. But doing a pilot is everything, because it's okay to do it and go, you know what? I hate this. I'd rather just be a guest. You know what I mean? Like, that's just as good. It's better because you're not lamenting it and you'll actually put the effort into being a guest. Like, that's the goal. Is I want to help people's businesses. I don't want to start podcasts that die 3 episodes in for no good reason. It's not worth it for anybody. It's terrible business. It's a terrible way to live. So I don't do that at all costs.
That's really smart. And I love that it's kind of demonstrating a proof of concept first. Can you handle that workload? And then from there, is the audience receptive to the ideas or the topics that you want to talk about? And just kind of prepares you mentally and physically for taking on those challenges if you were to go beyond just that pilot episode. And one thing you mentioned is kind of tools and the repurposing of content. What should people be focusing for their podcast? How can they use these tools to repurpose content? And then what benefits should they focus on?
Yeah. So I think one of the funny things, I used to talk to people about this a lot when they were starting social media accounts for their business. Every time you're starting an account, you're having a different child. You have another child, it's another mouth to feed. It's got different rules and personality to it. And you're going to pay all this attention. So as many as you've got, fine. You do what you can handle. But the goal of the podcast is you use this as a central point to get your message and put it in a way that translates to all of those platforms. Because the biggest problem is, I think people look at it as, this is podcast me, and this is Instagram me, and this is LinkedIn me, and I need to create different content completely with new messages and ideas for all of these platforms. And my whole argument is, why? Why do that? Because if your information is good and it translates to every platform and it's core to what you do and it resonates with your audience and it helps you land customers, then like that is your message and that is what you do. And you just need to make minor tweaks based on the platform that it is. But it prevents you from having to come up with new stuff all the time in all of these places. All you're doing is you're coming up with the show, come up with a good episode of the show. Great. Now you've talked about that principle. Awesome. Whether you said something and it's a solo episode or you have a guest on and they gave a great sound bite or whatever it is, you can use that. And now you've got social clips. You can do that on any of the platforms. You can get the transcript and turn it into a newsletter. There's so many things, and it's just simplifying your time. It makes your energy easier because you don't have to think about it as much. You're just building out the processes of repurposing and working on the very basic fine tunings to make it work for that platform. But once you have templates and a plan in place, you just save so much time and your output goes up exponentially. It's really crazy the kind of impact that you can get in just a couple of weeks from doing it that way.
Yes, absolutely. And I can attest to that firsthand when we switched from this audio only into let's record video and create content from it. We started using these incredible tools that batching them together allowed us to increase that output with less time involved. And suddenly we're getting a lot more traction on these different channels because obviously they appreciate the education, the entertainment value that you're bringing to them. And that wouldn't have been possible, but it's important not to spread yourself too thin or try to reinvent your character or personality for each social media channel. Like you said, if the message is there, if the offer is there, if it's resonating, generating customers or clients, that's what you need to focus on. And there's no need to restart and start fresh again. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, people always tend to do this when it comes to content creation because it's not historically relevant to jobs. It's not at every job in the history of time. We've all done illustrations at work in the 1920s. It's just not what it was. So now this new technology is a standard part of operating and running a business. So I think because of that, novelty makes them overthink it, right? And when it comes to being a business owner, think of all the other things that are a part of your business that you don't think you have to be a completely different person for. You have accounting for your business. Are you also an accountant? Do you have an accountant personality? You know what I mean? It's just like there's so much that goes in all these different departments. You're talking about sales and you've got to deal with different kinds of engineering and your marketing and all that. You understand they're all parts of what make you a business owner or a business. So why does content suddenly become like I'm planting this whole additional tree when really you're just growing a branch? And I think that's where people overcomplicate it. And there's no reason to do that.
That is a great metaphor. I love that. As we were talking earlier, we're discussing some of your plans for 2025, what you were changing in 2024 and kind of preparing for 2025. Can you take me through everything that you're doing? Because I think it's something that is going to resonate with a lot of business owners.
Oh my God. It was a spring cleaning for a whole year is what we did. I mean, we just got so much junk and threw it out. And this was all across the board. We had certain services because as it started, we were a podcast business, but we were looking to make some, like podcasting is a more niche market than I fully realized for people who can afford to get help for the services and build it out. It was this whole artful thing of understanding the proper audience of the business and price points and all of that. As we were figuring that out, we were taking on other gigs because I can do video production. I've edited a bunch of stuff. I've been on location filming with my phone and editing things on my phone and posting it right then and there. It went well, but that's not the business. I got to hire a totally different skill set for that. It's different software to pay for. That's a lot of work. Websites, same thing. I've done websites for people, but I know other people that can do it well. That's not my main interest. It's just a thing that a lot of people need before they're ready to do other content. So let's get your website built. But I started to transition a lot of those things out. So I was either killing off services that didn't make sense, that weren't in line with helping business podcasts. Right? This is the number one thing that we do. That is our purpose. That is our drive. And that's it. So if we're not doing that, or our content, anything that we're doing isn't supporting that, then it's gone. So yeah, certain clients, processes, services. We were doing monthly events. I changed what those were. We cut that down significantly. Now I'm doing events really quarterly, and those events are only about podcasting. It is only information about that can lead to direct sales. Like everything is in alignment, which again goes back to that point of why think about yourself and your personality and your message in all of these different places and be like, what's a new thing? No, I'm talking about the same things all the time to the same people all the time. And that's it. It just becomes easier to do everything, explain everything, sell everything. It's all easier. But it took us a full year to really clean that out because we've been doing business for about 2 years, 3 years by the time we decided there's a lot of junk in here and it's got to go.
And some businesses, honestly, may never even remove a lot of that junk or take much longer to get rid of it. But it's smart that you realized that and said, hey, something isn't just lining up with what we're doing. It seems all over the place. Again, early in on business, we are trying to earn some money. So we are willing to flex and kind of take care of the customer's need. We're here to serve. But again, if it doesn't line up with what we want to focus on, it just diverts our attention away. And we can't scale and grow that business when things aren't lining up in that direction.
For sure. In a way, I'm an extremist. I have things where I don't care at all about certain stuff, like could not care less, doesn't matter to me. You'll never get me to think about it. You can't make me. And then there's other stuff where I'm an absolute perfectionist and I care about even the slightest details and it needs to be that way or otherwise it's going to drive me absolutely ballistic. So for me, it was really hard because when you're doing all these different services, I was very good at a lot of things, but I want to be an exclusively best version of what we do. And so when that's the drive, how can I spend time on all these other things that aren't essential to the mission? That's how it has to be. So if it's not anything that's going to help me make business owners get better podcasts, then I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not learning about it. I'm almost actively trying to forget it for the sake that I can use that brain space to do things that actually help me. Like the shedding has simplified everything. I just there's a great story about Einstein that he just wore the same thing every day because it was easier. It was less brain power to do that, which one, I love that he's a cartoon character in that sense. Like the greatest scientist is he just wears the same thing. But from that standpoint of I don't have to put all this emotional energy into all of these other decisions. Like, it's just, I'm doing the same things. It's in the same space. There might be slight deviations here and there, but I know how to solve that because I've seen it a million different ways, and it's all very small variants of the same thing. Life is easier. The business is easier. It's so worth it. It took a lot of time. Again, it was really like a whole year to do it in a way that we think is fully like satisfactory. But man, we're unrecognizably better from where we were a year ago. So totally worth it.
I love that, and I definitely appreciate the cartoon reference. We're in the same outfit every time. It is so true.
It's so silly, but I mean, hey, it worked. The guy's the genius. If it worked for him, then maybe it works for us.
I love that. Now, Vince, where can people go online and connect with you, find you online?
Yeah, so the easiest way to do that, listen to the podcast. It's called It's Not Just Talking with Vince Quinn, because people have told me many times, podcast, it's just talking. And I'm like, what could you possibly? No idea. I just said, It's Not Just Talking is the show. So weekly show, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcast, like it's out there. And also SBX Productions.com. So like Sandbox, SBXProductions.com. That's where you can find me too.
That's beautiful. And we'll also have the links available down in the show notes and the description so everyone can get connected. Now, Vince, you already told us about what you're looking forward to in 2025. If you could go back in time to tell your younger self one piece of advice, is there anything that you would want to share with your younger self to get you a bit further ahead than you would without it?
Honestly, I wish I studied business before I started one. That would have been a good thing to do. I was doing sports talk radio, man. I was sitting in a booth by myself at 2 a.m. talking to people all over the country just about, oh, the quarterback should have thrown the ball when he didn't throw the ball. And I couldn't run a business based on that. I was good at running a show. That was helpful. I had very good production skills, and I worked hard. So I had the work ethic to be able to make this all come together. But I mean, I didn't know anything about business. And it just got to a point where if I had studied more to make that transition easier and project better and all those kinds of things, I wish I did that, or even just went to school for business. There's no special major for sports talk radio. There's nothing that rules you out. So I could have gone to school for business, learned that, gotten into radio still, and at least had some semblance beforehand. But like, it is what it is. It worked out. I'm piecing it together. So it's all good.
No, it's all good because you took all of your strengths, what you were good at, and said, okay, how can I use this and bring value? Even to have to learn something new, I think you were willing to take that risk and take that chance, and you invested in yourself. You bet on yourself. And all the times I'm going to pull that lever down on the casino machine, I want to be the one to be invested in. And I think that's smart.
Yeah, it was the only way I could do it. Honestly, that was part of the reason why I quit radio, because I felt like I was too dependent on other people in every way. Like, the entire career is based on, you're talking about other teams, other players, other coaches, other people's opinions about it. And it has nothing to do with me. And they don't listen to anything that I say. It's like, if the Eagles were making decisions based on my opinions, one, they would have won 5 Super Bowls by now. But two, it would be a totally different game, right? Like, you have no say in the outcome. And to be in a situation where, as a business owner, I have control and I can drive things at least to a much larger degree, then that was something I could believe in. And when it is based on, you got to go all in. There's no other way to do it.
I laughed earlier because I hear that discussion taking place on all the other sports forums and conversation sites. They really need to rely on the run game a bit more. And you're like, do you think these coaches are out here listening to you?
Most classic sports take of all time is the team needs to run the ball more. That is an A1 football take. It's so funny. It's everywhere.
Never heard that one before. Wow.
No.
You know, like, wow, run the ball. Who would have thought?
In this era, yeah, it's great. So I don't miss it.
Again, just using your talents to bring value to people. That's smart. Throughout life and business and our careers, we kind of take these chances. We try something new. It's never too late to shift and pivot into something new. Try it. Just treat a career, a job, a business opportunity like a pilot episode. See if you like it, get your feet wet. From there, is the audience open to what you're offering? If not, kind of rework things and go back to the drawing board. But it doesn't hurt, again, to take calculated risks and invest in yourself. I always recommend it.
Yeah, that's it. It's well said. I really have nothing to add. Just rewind it if you need to and listen back to that, because it's good information.
And if you get to run the ball more, you went a little too far to go a little bit ahead.
That's right. Yeah, skip past run the ball. Sure.
Well, Vince, we appreciate you coming on and sharing your insight. Great conversation here. Any last words of wisdom you want to share with our audience or the businesses out there who are either starting a podcast or are trying to take their current podcast to the next level?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is one, confidence in yourself. If you don't have that confidence, it's going to affect you everywhere. And I know that it takes time to do that because you need to experience things. I had very little confidence as a business owner, and it showed. I had a hard time selling. I had a hard time talking about what we did or making decisions about the kinds of things we should be doing. So it is hard, but you have to take it in yourself where you're saying, okay, I've bet on me and this business, and nobody else is going to. So you've got to believe in yourself and you've got to put the effort in and be willing to take the lumps that go with that because you're going to have a lot of them. And that's life as a business owner. So be okay with things going wrong, but have confidence in yourself and just be willing to work at it and do everything you can to get it right.
Well said, Vince. We appreciate it. Thank you again for coming on. We will share all the links and show notes down in the description there so you can get connected with Vince as well. We appreciate it, Vince. Congratulations on your past success, finding your clarity, finding your direction and purpose, and taking it to the next level. So excited.
Appreciate it, Chris. This has been fun, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you.